Hi, we have a great episode for you today. It comes from one of our virtual community events. We're so lucky to have Mr. Gary Peterson, the Executive Vice President for Supply Chain and Production from OC Tenor. OC Tenor are a real standout organisation in the space of operational or enterprise excellence. And Gary's led a massive part of that journey over the last 20 plus years in the organisation. There's some great topics here that we explore on how do you actually go about achieving excellence within your organizations. The results you'll hear are unbelievable. Such great outcomes for their people, their customers, and the organization and shareholders. You also hear our community members ask questions at the back end of the show, and there's some more insights that come from that, which is truly great. There are resources up on the Enterprise Excellence Podcast website under resources that you can go and get hold of that relate to this show, and will provide you more information and data to work with. A lot of our past guests' information that is stored there will also help you from a lot of the topics that Gary talks about. Without further ado, let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Enterprise Excellence Podcast, where we share knowledge from global experts in how to create high-performance, agile cultures of continuous improvement and innovation. Cultures where employees wake up smiling and excited to go to work and make a difference. Cultures where leaders feel they have the time to proactively serve the growth of themselves and others.
I'm your host, Jeavons, coming to you from Brisbane, Australia. By improving our organisations, we create a better future for generations to come. An economy where our children and grandchildren can experience the joy of owning their first home. An environment where they can enjoy holidays on clean beaches and marvel at the beauty of nature. A future where they feel safe, respected, and empowered to make a difference at work, bringing that energy home to their families and communities. This show is proudly brought to you by the Enterprise Excellence Community and Group, which is focused on helping organisations create this better future through this podcast, our community where you can engage with global experts, tour best practice sites, and also our workshops focused on the most important topics to truly help your organisation improve into the future for those it serves. Visit enterpriseexcellencegroup.com.au to learn more. Welcome to episode 195 of the Enterprise Excellence Podcast.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining, and thank you so much to Mr. Gary Peterson for joining us from OC Tenor in Utah. It's such a great opportunity to learn from across the very big ditch of the Pacific Ocean. Shelley's joining from Maryland, USA, Gary. So we have got Shelley's a passionate person in enterprise excellence from over there. So we do have a fellow countryman joining. But everyone, today it's been a massive opportunity to be able to have Gary on and talk on this important topic of enterprise excellence, because if there's any company I've seen more about through the Shingo training I've been in and what I get involved with, it's Gary. Gary, I've seen your face so many times. I feel like I know you. So it's great to have you on and be able to learn from you and really pick up some insights. Everyone, we're going to go through a few questions initially, which will just make up the initial part of like the podcast we'll release. And then please just ask any questions you've got. I'd really recommend to think about what to ask, because this is an opportunity from a company that's really led this journey for a long time to really get under the hood and, find out that info that will help your company go forward. So Gary, again, thank you so much for helping us Aussies, and Shelley coming from the US. Appreciate it. Gary, first question I've got, mate, is why did OC Tenor start down the path of an enterprise excellence journey? What was that initial trigger? And was it 20 years ago or so when you first joined the company?
Yeah, it was about 33 years ago. I've been here for 38 years, and I was in marketing, and we had launched a new software. So we're basically a tech company, and we had launched a new software offering in terms of how we go to market that changed the way our clients were ordering. So before that, most of the appreciation was done in annual events, and what we were used to doing, what all our machines were set up for big batch runs. And the technology changed so that it was better for the recipient. We were honoring people closer to their actual date of achievement instead of waiting for an end of year event. But the net effect was our order size plummeted. Instead of making hundreds at a time, our order size dropped to 1.2, and our long setups and our batch manufacturing was killing us. The costs were going up, efficiencies were plummeting. This was back in the mid 80s. And a lot of question about offshoring. A lot of people were looking at finding less expensive options, and OC Tanner was as well. They posted a job for they called it a facilitator of change. And I thought, man, that sounds fun. And I my bona fides, I only had one really. I had seen a video in MBA school in my operations class that Hewlett Packard did back in the 70s of one piece flow. Blew my mind. But I knew that we did not have to suffer efficiency losses because of going to smaller order size. We could just change the way we manufactured and be right back in the pink. I knew that. But the other thought was I believed that we could get more out of people, that we probably had not tapped sufficiently into our team members. And that was the two things I came with, basically. Other than that, I knew nothing. But I just started facilitating change. But we immediately began in that first year changing the flow of the product. We started bringing processes together, experimenting with one-piece flow, Kanban size of just one. Hadn't even changed the setups yet, but just experimented and found great success. But also began at the same time to retrain management and team members on more of a we were a very top-down, controlling, hierarchical company where team members never opened their mouths. Management just told them what to do. And we have effectively turned that upside down to now where our team members are running the factory and our managers have become coaches and teachers and mentors and so forth. In terms of principles, the Shingo model, I stumbled around in the dark for several years trying to find my way. The things we were doing were just those one piece flow and engagement of people, and so we were having great success. But that's all I knew. And then about that time, the machine that changed the world came out. The word lean was coined. I found the Shingo model. It resonated. It was all the things we were trying to do plus more, and it gave us a framework. And the rest is history, as they say.
Gary, it's really amazing that you got onto the people bit so early. You know, like you hear of so many lean journeys where it's like tools and techniques, single piece flow, Kanban, connect to the customer, but we totally miss the engage and respect for everyone and get that bottom up where it's about getting the people closest to the work to really lead it and own it. And how did you get on? Can you remember how you got on that people-centric path early?
Yeah, so I had an uncle, my dad's younger brother, who was a people leader with a company up in the Northwest called Continental Mills. They made flours and grains and prepackaged mixes for like cakes and so forth. But they also had a frozen food group. And he was clear back at this time, he was playing with some of these flow ideas as a people leader. And he was so energized by his work. He was so jazzed by what he was doing that I flew up there to see what he was doing and to talk with him. And he was telling me, so this was 33 years ago, it's all in the people. It's all in the people. And I thought some of the things he was saying were just radical. He was talking about team members sitting down and redesigning the work. And I was like, you are crazy. Turns out he was right. You know, if you teach people give them the right skills and problem solving methodologies, get them working together, that's where we've become to. But I thought he was a little bit off his rocker, but I liked the idea and it resonated with me personally, and I loved how energized he was by his work. So I took it hand in hand.
Wow. Because I was thinking, Gary, I was got to admit, I was preempting you and go, Brad, started off, it was tough. And then I got to the Shingo Institute because it's so connected to that. But you've actually had this journey where it was reinforced by your uncle and you got to learn from him and his organization. And it just so happened that the Shingo Institute's like in the same area as you and you're able to It's like everything combined at the right time.
Yeah, and I think when we first latched on to the shingle model, the culture piece at the foundation of the pyramid, the respect for people and humble leadership, wasn't as pronounced and strong as it is now. After we received the prize in 1999, my predecessor Harold joined the advisory board, and I felt like we had some influence in making that a more powerful part. And I think it's foundationally so critical.
Wow, that's a great story. What year was that, Gary, that whole transition happened? Because I've heard the stories of how the Shingo Institute was even very focused on tools and techniques, and then it swung to go, actually, it's about,
Yeah.
purpose and systems and behaviors and culture.
So I would say it was the first 5 years in the new century.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sort of the early noughties.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's I
What
didn't
do you call it?
realize
You
the
call it
connection.
naughties? Is that what you called
Noughties.
it?
Yeah,
Naughties?
noughties. It's an Australian thing, it must be.
I like it. I like it.
We love that jargon. We weird
Mm.
jargon. It's an Aussie thing. Hey,
Hmm.
Gary, with the journey, like it's been a big journey, and I just did the Shingo, um, one of the Shingo courses recently with Chris Butterworth, which was amazing. On mainly
Yeah.
on systems, it was their real systems course, the build course, and it was talking in there about your journey with the system of reward and recognition. But on your journey, what would you say were some of the key learnings? What were those pivotal points that you learned into? And of course, one of them was bottom up, engage the front line that you originally learned from
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
uncle. But what were the other big pivotal moments?
Well, one comment on rewards and recognition and appreciation. Obviously, we are an appreciation company. That's what we sell, and so we use all of our tools, and it is in our DNA. And we are overboard, if that's possible, in recognizing each other. There's just a real spirit of gratitude and recognition coming from all of our teams. And at one point, I thought that maybe the teams who receive the most recognition might be the teams who have the best results. So I did an analysis of it. And in fact, that is partially true. But the teams who give the most recognition actually have the very best results. The ownership, the accountability. If someone's going to recognize someone's going to be me. I will get it done. So that's what I'll say about that. It's a big part of our culture, obviously. Um, I think the other huge cultural change was our coaching system, and it is the earliest system that we adopted totally by accident. We needed to. I was trying to change people's mindset. Team members didn't think they had anything to do with quality or efficiency or safety. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? You're the last one to touch the product. How can you not be have some impact on quality?" They didn't buy it. They, in their mind, if there was a quality issue, go talk to the manager.
Yeah.
And I was trying to bust up that thinking. And so we changed the compensation for about a year in a way that required teams to work together to improve quality and efficiency. And it necessitated a one-on-one meeting with the manager and every team member every week. It was just 5 minutes long. Um, but that began to break apart kind of the us versus them kind of thinking and really help to humanize team members in the eyes of the manager and the manager in the eyes of the team members. It started to break down some of those incredible barriers that have been built up. We're almost 100-year-old company, so they'd been built up for 70 years, and we broke them down like in 6 weeks. I noticed that it was melting significantly, and the whole factory was becoming more human, if you will. About a year later, we didn't need that anymore. Everyone was driving efficiency and quality and safety now. So we shifted away from there, but we now said every manager will sit down with every team member for 30 to 60 minutes every month and have a one-on-one where I'm teaching and developing and growing people. And that is our system that's been in place till today. I think connecting management to people and the manager connecting people to each other and connecting everybody to the purpose of the company has become a huge deal for us. Um, so that's one of the systems that I think really has mattered and made a difference.
I love that, Gary. I've seen it myself in a past company where the one-on-one was a real part of what we did. And you'd see the odd area flare up culturally, and then you'd get in there and you'd find that they're not actually running a one-on-one system. And
Yeah.
it's funny, we focus so much on the team huddle and that team event, with the visual board and everything like that in the world of lean and continuous improvement. But the one-on-one we can often miss, but it's
Yeah.
critical from a human factor.
We were doing one-on-ones before we were doing team huddles. And I think I think it's more important. However, I would not give up our team huddles for anything. So don't get me wrong. I'll also say that when I first said to managers, "Hey, you're going to sit down with every person for a half hour to an hour every month," their response, of course, was, "I don't have time for that. I can't do that." And I said, "No, you're going to do it." And they said, "Okay, well then you tell me, what do you want me to drop?" And I said, "Frankly, I don't care. I don't care what you drop." And to this day, I have no idea what they drop. But I will say that as they started doing that one-on-one interactions every month, a lot of the problems they were reacting to went away because of their proactive interactions with team members. Their job became easier. We don't spend hardly any time now solving interpersonal issues, struggles between team members. We just stamp out those fires. We just keep everybody going strong.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And Gary, with the when you bring in systems like you've done through that one-on-one or you've done through reward and recognition within OC Tenor, who runs the training and the competence build? Is it external consultants and contractors, or is it your own people and your own that you deploy and develop people?
Yeah, I was at a significant disadvantage there in that in the second year, I went to our CEO and I said, "Hey, here's some training I'd like to buy to do for the management and the people." And he shook his head and said, "Well, why did I hire you?" So I was like, "Well, dude, seriously?" So we ended up just kind of creating everything from scratch, which meant we moved not as quickly as maybe we could have. I made a ton of mistakes. Two steps forward, one step back. Learned a lot. We became really smart through all of our mistakes. Um, so it's all homegrown and kind of just found our way. Of course, we once other companies started on the journey, we'd go visit anybody who would have us, watch what they were doing. No matter what stage of the journey they're on, we would find something that we could copy. And one of the reasons I do things like this is at this point, I don't know who to say thank you to. Everyone helped get us to where we are. So I kind of think of events like this as kind of a pay it forward.
I'm glad. Thank you, Gary. Well, Gary, it's something that I've sort of seen a pattern in is leader as trainer, leader as coach, versus there's another pattern that you see in organizations, which is we outsource everything and we have these mass trainings and consultants come in and train. And I
Yeah.
can really hear in our discussion that it would have helped to potentially gain some knowledge from consultants and then use that. But, I was really keen to hear what you'd say there because it was like a little test for me to go, is it we owned it, we led it? Because it's a pattern I'm seeing. I love that pattern you mentioned of the
Yeah.
one-on-one, also that system there. It's really powerful. Gary, what would you recommend to an organization that is on a journey and they want to actually start heading more down that enterprise excellence or that bottom up true culture of continuous improvement? Where would you say, look, guys, really think about these things. Look at these systems. Look at these leadership behaviors.
Yeah, I think if you want to engage your people, and if you want management to believe in the people, we did a lot of training. First, trying to get people to work together as a team, but then problem solving methodologies. We helped them learn how to read data. We gave them chances to try to make some improvements on their own and stumble around a little bit. You really, I think, can't fully engage a team in continuous improvement until you trust them. And that trust comes with, I think, a ton of training and development. And then, of course, you put systems in place to provide guardrails so that they're staying right in here as opposed to, flying off the handle and doing things that maybe aren't moving you towards more value for your client.
Yeah, so that real connection to purpose, connection to some sort of strategic piece and guardrails to run within that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Gary, what part for you guys did getting clear on some your principles and ideal behaviors play on the OC Tenor journey and how that helped leadership within those guardrails of that piece?
Yeah, so I look at the behaviors, the behaviors that you want, that you expect from people. And if we're not getting, one of the behaviors, then you have to ask yourself, uh, do we have a system that makes it easier to behave this way, harder not to behave this way? Or if we do have a system, why is it not functioning for us the way we want it to? So in my mind, it's identify the gap through the absence of the appropriate behaviors, and then figure out which system or systems you either need to start or stop. Some systems need to go away, which should be fine-tuned so that people have an easier time doing the right thing. And an example might be focus on process. Uh, I mean, if when something goes wrong, if everyone's looking for a scapegoat, if everyone's looking for the culprit, then your system is making that easier. The system is inviting blame as opposed to curious interest in what's going on, why the process allowed that to happen. So that's for us. It's always been and still is. All of our systems, while initially they were launched by me and my leadership team, and initially owned by us, now are all owned by various people around the enterprise who, hey, can I do 5S for a while? Hey, can I do visual management for a while? And their charter is to make it better, make sure it's working, clean it up, and then when you get tired of it, pass it on to somebody else. And they do a great job of making sure that the systems are closing all those gaps. If we see a gap, we ask for someone to address it. Let's use these two systems and try and close this gap, and then let a team go attack it and figure out what to do better. I don't spend hardly any time making those decisions anymore. The people who run the systems are figuring out how to close those gaps for us. We just kind of, you might say, we put it out there kind of like a challenge or a target condition, if you use the language of Mike Rother's Toyota kata, the improvement kata.
Yeah, I love it. I love that language too, Gary, which is you're clear on the ideal behaviors, you can see the gap, and then it's okay, so what systems, or I guess another language is connection of processes and things are creating that, and everyone, a big part of the OC Tenor's journey has been systems thinking, hasn't it? From when did what was it that really got you onto systems thinking? Because when I look at even university degrees, there's not much training on that topic.
No, no, it really was the Shingo Institute. Here's a principle, and I read all those principles, and I love them all, and I like, yeah, how do I do this? And the answer is, well, what systems do you have that help you do this? And in some
Yeah,
cases, like I don't have any that that help me flow, to the pull of the customer. I'll figure it out. Am I aligning people to the purpose? Well, how do I do that? Well, you better figure it out. Do we have something that allows everyone to seek perfection every day? Well, you figure it out. Um, and so we now have dozens of systems, some of them absolutely critical to our day-to-day operation, all of them important.
yeah, wow, it's brilliant. And Gary, from start to finish on the journey with OC Tenor, what would you say has been the biggest changes that have happened? Like, what are those ideal results that you've gained through this journey of really leaning into enterprise excellence, respecting
Yeah.
people, connecting people, and through?
So I'll say a few that usually attract the most starry, that's great kind of stuff before I go to the one that really matters. We were in 26 different departments, and it took us 28 days from the time of issue of materials to shipment of product. Everything we make is to order, it's custom. Um, and we took apart all the departments and moved to mini factories, little U-shaped cells, and that 28 days went down to 20 minutes.
That's a
And
result.
yeah, so and I love to play the game of, hey, we started at 28. How far do you think you can take that? I was just playing it this morning with the inset people. I don't know. Can you cut it in half? Yeah, yeah. Can you cut it down to 2 days? Yeah, 1 day. Yeah, half a day. Yep, yep, yep. How about 20 minutes? And just helps you really see the waste that is in an operation. Now the flow is so visible, so incredibly visible. Certainly that's a big deal. The efficiencies, every time we brought processes together, uh, cost went down, efficiency went up, quality went up, morale went up. Until now, everyone is standing right next to their customer, right next to their supplier, all the way from the flow, all the way from issue materials to shipment, including we took apart purchasing and engineering and maintenance and our systems team. Everybody reports into the value stream. There's nobody that a team can point at another department and say, well, we could deliver if those guys over there would only whatever. There are
Mm,
no guys over there. Everyone's here. Everyone reports up to the same place. So if we got a problem, let's solve it. Um, and it also means we don't allocate any costs. All the costs are in the value stream, which has the extra advantage of every day you can run an income statement for the team. The team knows exactly how much money they made today, and we share that with them, and
yeah.
drives incredibly good decision making. When I first started talking about giving a team their income statement, I had a lot of executives who were like, "Well, I don't know if that's a good idea. What will they do with that if they have that?" And I'll tell you what they do with it. They act like entrepreneurs. They act
Yeah.
like owners of the business. Smart decisions. Um, I forgot what question I was answering.
Oh, just the results you've got, Gary. Like,
Oh,
Gary, I
yeah, yeah,
didn't.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
so, so certainly the our efficiencies have gone way up. We've gone from 1,800 people. We are four times bigger than we were when we started, and we have one-fourth as many people.
Wow.
So you can do the math, and yet you walk out on the floor, nobody's breaking a sweat. Everyone's just working comfortably. We've made the work very easy to do. Um, so efficiency's fantastic. Quality is up in Six Sigma range. On-time delivery and time is incredibly short. Uh, and all those are impressive, I think, obviously, for all the metrics you'd expect to see from a lean organization. But there is no doubt in my mind that so we host tours here about every other week, and we're a go and see site for McKinsey and Company. We're a go and see site for Toyota, and when they come, I ask people, tell me why you came. Tell me what you expect to see here, and they're always, we got to meet your people. I understand your people are engaged and empowered. They own results. And that is, in my mind, the most significant thing that we've accomplished here.
Yeah. Gary, I didn't realize that piece of that mini factory approach you've taken too. Like I had a chap on the podcast, Craig Brown. It came out this week, and he won a global award for that too. But from a software point of view, like the software world has done that a lot. The mini team,
Yes.
cross-functional team. You've done it, and I know Haya are doing it. Companies like Bertzog are doing it. Like I didn't realize that bit. That's really powerful to learn. Gary, how big are some of these mini factory teams that you've got? Like, what sort of team size are you talking
Oh,
in?
so they're tiny. When we formed the first one back at the turn of the century, They were 16 members because nobody knew how to do more than one function. Cross-training was a real problem. But now they are 2 to 4 team members operating. And they've also significantly shrunk the space over the years. So the team gets rewarded with cost savings if they take a smaller footprint. So they're always looking for ways to make the team more compact and tiny. And they pride themselves, on doing it without anybody knowing. I walk into a team and I suddenly notice they're 10 feet shorter, and I'm looking like this, and they're all start laughing. Yeah, yes.
Nice. That is awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's great. There's another word coming out on what you've done, Gary. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's been kept floating around Australia at the minute, which is called zero distance. Zero distance to customers, zero distance to
Yeah.
frontline employees. And
Yeah.
that's what you've created. I didn't realize until this chat. So thank you. It's just great to hear because you hear of these approaches and they're different. It's different to what we're used to, but you hear of what can be achieved from it, and it's just amazing. But I can really understand that foundation that your uncle gave you of respect for people and it's about the people, it helped you take that journey and actually head that path.
Yeah, let me just add one thought there, Brad. So so now with 2 to 4 people in this cell, mostly cross-trained, 80% of them can do all the jobs. They rotate between the jobs every 2 hours. Think about the ability of that team to think systemically.
Mm.
Uh, every one of them is thinking of the big picture, the total value the team provides. Changes, therefore, improvements in the team are big picture. It's not like little tweak on this machine, it's total value type thinking.
Yeah, it's their business. It's their business. It's their
Yeah.
factory. I love it.
And then they make a change, and immediately they see it have an impact on the bottom line for their cell. That's powerful feedback.
Yeah, I love it. It's brilliant. That's been a real insight for me to learn that from you today, Gary. Well, everyone, I'm conscious that I've been taking up the full airspace, and I want to be able to hand over to the community now, Gary, because team, this is a real opportunity to ask some questions that are going on in your mind and think about your company or think about what you're doing and what do you want to ask Gary to understand about OC Tenamore and their journey. Okay, so I've got Wade. Wade, do you want to come off line, mate, and ask on that? I'll look at chat to everyone. Wade, you take the stage.
Hey Gary, that's amazing. You pointed me to what good not only looks like but can feel like, and it's good to get those visions every now and then.
Thanks, Wade.
Well,
Nice to meet you.
frequently, actually, Gary. Now I'm in the thick of it, and my colleague Sean is in the thick of it. Australian manufacturing faces a lot of headwinds, and I think it's easier once you have your reputation. People know, and you can pull on some levers. But when you're facilitating change early, and there's a lot of headwinds, lots of doubt, high noise, high resistance, high reactivity.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, what capabilities did you develop in the early days that really helped you shift that and get that belief going?
Yeah, it's a great question, Wade. I gotta tell you, so I put together these 5 processes where I could actually move the machines, stood them next to each other, tried one-piece flow, twice as efficient as the departments were, so we expanded it. By the end of the first year, I had the entire downstairs here, everything pre-plating, so like 10 different processes all lined up, more like 12 processes. And we were trying to do one-piece flow through it. The problem was that at the time, our metals all had to go through an annealing oven in between presses. And the annealing ovens were ammonia fed, so not an optimum environment. And the ammonia, we tried to keep it in one place in the factory. So I built my little model line right by the annealing ovens, and it was again twice as efficient as all those departments on the downstairs. So I was on to something. And our CEO sent his henchman to tell me to take it apart. And I says, "Why are we taking it apart?" And he goes, "Because it's not scalable." I said, why? What do you mean it's not scalable? And they go, well, where are you going to put the second one? And I immediately understood his point. I said, well, on the other side of the annealing ovens, where you can put the third one. In front of the annealing ovens, where you put the fourth one. Yeah, I don't have any place to put the fourth one. And so I took it apart. Very dark day for me. I was like, what the crap? Here they give me this job and then they get in my way. So I left the downstairs and I went up to final assembly, took 4 different departments, epoxy, riveting, final inspection, put them all together into a single function. All the workers up there hated it. It was like 200 people. They despised what we did, but it was incredible in terms of the quality going up and efficiency and so forth. And then I went on scout camp with my boys for a week. I came back, it was all taken apart. It was all back to departments. My boss had taken it apart because a bunch of people came to him to complain about this new way of working. In other words, I felt like I was fighting City Hall all day long, everywhere I went. Nobody wanted to do it. And the way we went about it here was so wrong. Because I had no support, I think the managers thought, I don't have to do this. If I just dig in my heels and wait long enough, this guy's going to self-destruct and be out of here, and we can go back to where we were. And the net effect was I self-destructed several times, but I pulled myself back together. And I outlasted them. And the net effect was a bunch of them ended up having to leave the company because they got left behind. And that's wrong in my mind. I talked to a friend of mine in Copenhagen who did this with a pharmaceutical company more like 10 years ago. It didn't lose a single manager. And I asked him, how'd you do it? Because I lost half of mine. And he said, clear message from above. Everybody was saying, this is where we're going. This is what you're doing. And so everyone got on board. Everyone made it work. Man, I wish we'd done that. And the reason I share the story is my feeling is that you just keep persevering. You find the next opportunity where you can try something and you take a step into the unknown and experiment. And eventually the momentum swung our way. Eventually we had enough people saying, this is awesome. This is what we're doing. And then nobody could unravel it. Nobody could take it apart. But I would say it probably took too long here, like 7 to 8 years before I felt like it was sticky enough that it was going to last.
Thank you.
But so let me say this. So someone says to me, I can't do anything because I don't have executive support. And my response to that is you have a circle of influence. Do something powerful within your circle of influence. Anything. Try something that creates the behaviors or the environment where people can engage in continuous improvement and just keep it going strong. And eventually other people will be like, man, I want to be on that team. I want to be part of this. Hey, can you tell me what you're doing over there? It spreads. That's kind of my response to people who say they don't have executive support.
Great answer. Thank you, Gary.
Good luck, Wade.
Yeah.
You too, John.
I love it, Gary. Over to Jim. Jim, if you want to, are you right to come off mute, Jim, and ask your question? I want to get you out, and then I'll come to Jan. I'll let Jan come off.
Hi, Gary. You probably don't remember me. I worked for a company called Vistaprint back in 2014.
Yes, I do remember you. Fantastic.
Well, I promised I wouldn't get too emotional. One, because you gave me this. Remember that?
Yes.
And secondly, I made an absolute fool of myself standing on a stage, waving an Australian flag at Provo in Utah. So, well, first, I just wanted to say thank you. You talked about paying it forward. My visit to Utah and OC Tanner was truly life-changing, and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
Strange enough, I'm 8 years into a company that I'm still trying to find ways of dropping the penny, but persistence and resilience, I really take that on board. But I suppose my question is, like, you guys are so...
Jim, before you ask your question, I will tell you this. I took your business card. On the back of it, I wrote, "This guy is going places. If he ever reaches out to any of you, answer him." So
I don't know whether those places were good places, but yeah, it's been quite the ride. But I've been absolutely privileged to do that, influenced by the Shingo journey that everybody goes on personally, but also I've had the opportunity to share it with, pass it along to other companies, the ones I've worked for, the ones that I haven't, and truly life-changing. And I've got to say, everything that Gary says, some people might think, well, that's just too good to be true. You don't get that feeling when you go to OC. It's absolutely true, and even more than that. So, sorry, I promised I wouldn't gush and get over emotional, but
it's good to see you, Jim. What's your question?
I suppose it is the fact that people come and you open your doors, and it's amazing because you're so generous and your team are so generous with their time. I suppose it's probably not always possible to track the sustainability of the transformations that happen consequent to that. But have you got any examples whereby people have really sustained that transformation, having gone through OC Tanner, and out of the ones that have, yeah, we love this, and yes, we'll get in touch with our people, and are the ones that have been successful or been unsuccessful, and what are those key differentiators?
Yeah, I think when people come here, it's possible to just be overwhelmed. And if you think to yourself, oh, I know, I see what it is. I can go do this, and they go try and do it. And it's like, I don't see what I needed to do. And so I'm very careful to point out to people, the reason why you're looking at this is just so you believe it's possible. You can say, I know it's possible because I've seen it. So that becomes my true north. And then you're clear back here, 30 years behind us, taking steps in the right direction. And for me, it's more, I just keep telling people, just keep taking the right steps. And we often have people who will come back, 2 years later and say, okay, we made this journey. We've kind of hit another roadblock. I don't know what to do next. So let's just see what you're doing, see if something sparks in my mind. And it's never, I don't think it is ever that you copy what you saw here. It's more that you see an idea and think, okay, you know what, we could apply that in my place like this. And if we do, and an idea comes and you try it. And I think it is all about experimentation. If it doesn't work, we're a lot smarter. If it does work, we're better. Let's just keep taking steps into the unknown. Let's keep trying things, keep moving towards true north. I've seen a lot of companies make a lot of progress over the years. We just keep getting better. So we're not standing still. Every time anyone comes back, they're like, what did you do? Yeah, we've moved on. Join us. That's kind of my thought on it. People who fail, I think they give up. It's hard work. It is hard work, and it's not for the faint-hearted. It takes an incredible amount of stamina and determination, but not as much as it did when I started, because our people had no reason to believe it was the right thing to do, and now there's lots of data that says it's the right thing to do. So you can see where to go. We were just kind of feeling around in the dark. So I don't think anyone else has to have a 30-year journey to get to where we are. I think you can get there a lot faster now.
I think it's lonely work as well, and that's why the importance of communities like this one and the Shingo community are just so critical. But anyway, I appreciate that, my friend. I'll let somebody else ask a question.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Hey, so over to Jan. I'll pass over to Jan for your question.
Well, good morning, Gary and Brett. Yes, I've been listening too, and it's quite an exciting sort of change you have managed to achieve over the years. And my question would be around, you talk about results, throughput time, from 28 days to so many minutes, which is amazing. Then what about employee retention across the organization? How has that changed over the years?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jan. So currently our turnover is low single digits, and it's mostly retirement. Our average tenure is about 18 to 20 years on the floor. Um, but I do struggle on my night shift. That's where we hire new people is to the night shift, and then they work their way towards the day shift. And I'm not finding people like I used to 8 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, I'm struggling with people passing drug tests. I'm struggling with people understanding that we work 5 days a week, all day. It's like it's just different, and we're struggling with that. But even so, we're still low single digits. And once you get past your qualifying phase here of 3 months,
Yeah.
uh, people don't leave. But early on, we had a lot of attrition. When we started the first mini factory, the test showed us that we would be twice as efficient. And I had 1,800 people at the time. I met with them in groups of 100, and I told them that we're going to build a mini factory. I'm going to hire, but once we build all these 13 mini factories, uh, we're going to be twice as efficient. I only need half of you when we're done. And
Hmm.
people were really paying attention then. And I said, what we're going to do is we're going to build the first one and hire the best 16 of you we can find, and then wait until 16 people leave by attrition. Then we'll hire the next best 16, wait till 16 leave by attrition. It's going to take us 4 years, um, but we'll be half the size that we are now. I said, but let me tell you what I mean when I say the best 16 of you.
Hmm.
I'm not talking the highest skilled people. I'm
Hmm.
talking people who are creative problem solvers, innovative, come to
Hmm.
work wanting to collaborate with others, come
Hmm.
with energy, want to talk to their neighbors. That's who I'm putting in that cell. And
Hmm.
and those 100 people, half of them are looking at me like, you're crazy. You'll never be twice as efficient if you don't hire me. And
Yeah.
the other half
Hmm.
were like, man, that sounds like a great deal. That's the kind of team I want to work on. And so I told them, if you're not the kind of person I'm describing, we got 4 years to help you get there. So let us work with you and develop you and teach you a new way of being. Not very many people took me up on it. We hired the first 16 people. They were exactly the way I described, and they were fun to watch. They were having a ball, and they were more than twice as efficient. Turns out we only needed 9 cells to handle
Hmm.
all the output, but it was working so well that those people who didn't want to work like that, it was basically we raised the bar. People who didn't want to work like that started leaving, and our attrition more than doubled. And it was all the right people walking out the door to, I
Hmm.
feel bad for all of our neighbors, but they picked up all of my wretched refuse, and what we were left with was a much higher standard of person. We've raised the bar a couple of times since then. Our people just respond to it.
Hmm.
We need more. This is what we need. People are like, okay, let's do it. I mean, if they know why, if they understand the reason, um, they've responded very well to it. So a lot of attrition early, the right type of attrition, not so much anymore. I'll tell you
Okay,
this.
so
We actually went 10 years. We went
mm,
10 years without hiring.
10 years without hiring.
So we don't have anybody between 11 and 21 years of service. Everyone's either got more than 21 years of service or less than 11 because we didn't hire.
Yeah, so because your productivity went up, you need less people. The people that left, you didn't have to replace. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, obviously, it's all good. So, retention improved, quality of people improved, ownership of results, all sounds, very positive. How has the earning capacity of people changed? Owning results, achieving bottom line improvements. How is it rewarded financially? I mean, psychologically, there is a reward, but
Yeah.
what about
So our
financially?
uh, our hourly rate is about mid-market. We don't pay a premium. And so we're vulnerable that way to companies who do. But it's the best place to work up and down the 3 counties here. Everyone knows that. But we pay mid-market. However, about 6 years into our journey, we were freeing up so much cash that our shareholders had enjoyed multiple years of double dividends. And we approached the board and asked if they would ask the shareholders, if it's a private company, if they would share some of these bounty as gifts with the people who created it. And from that came an hourly workers bonus. And it is basically calculated based on profits. And the first time it was paid, it's paid twice a year, and each bonus was about $250. And then it went to 400 US dollars, then it went to 400 US, 600, 850. Currently, we budget 1,000. And back in December, we paid $1,400 to every person, and then we paid it again. Everyone got 2 bonuses. And it's so our team members feel like if they give, they will receive. We share the profits with them, but we don't act like the compensation is an incentive. We treat it more like it's an alignment tool. The variables on the bonus are the same ones that the management use, and it just ties everybody to value to the client.
Yeah. See,
No.
sometimes you hear that bonuses become an entitlement.
Yeah.
So, in case your bonuses have been going up, sort of, will there be a time that it might go the other way, and then?
Yeah, it has bounced down before, like during recessions, business backs off. It's not as high. But to your point about the entitlement, our CEO, I mean, our chair of the board, is usually the one who announces the VCP bonus. And when he does it, his mother before him, who was the daughter of our founder, now it's the grandson of our founder, when they announce the VCP, they say, "Where did this money come from?" And everybody shouts back, "We earned it."
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks, Jan.
also,
Thanks, Gary.
yeah,
I'll
very
pass
good.
over to Alex. Alex, you've got a question, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Great insight there, mates. Look, in the past, I think I've had a fair understanding of the tools that are used within like lean methodology, but it wasn't until I'd done a course last year, actually with Brad, that I had a penny drop moment of the need and the value of truly engaging and aligning with the staff and with the people. Previously, if you asked me, am I good at engagement, I would have said yes. I now look at it and say, no, I was good at involvement, but not necessarily engagement. And so I was keen when you mentioned those short one-on-ones, because I look after 7 sites, and I've got one that I'm particularly struggling with, and I'm struggling with it because it's a cultural issue, not cultural, a culture issue on the site. Jan knows the site I'm talking about. So, and I need to put the effort in to get that connection again. So I was just keen when you mentioned those short one-on-ones, is the focus there with that person about the process, about the movement or process improvement, or just that individual with what's frustrating them, what do they need, what's the insight, what's the particular focus of those short, and is it done with their managers or a higher level manager?
It is I would call it a mid-level manager. So it's back when we had departments of 180 people doing a process, they had several team leaders, a couple of supervisors, and a manager. It's that same level. It's just that we flattened out quite a bit. As we shrunk our people in half, I actually maintained the same number of managers. So now our manager to team member ratio is it's much higher, smaller. I mean, we have each one only has 20 to 30 people as opposed to 120 people, so they can connect more. I think there's several main reasons for or purposes for the encounter. One, I suppose if they're having a quality issue, yeah, they would definitely talk about that in the coaching. If they were having an attendance issue, they would talk about it. But a lot of that is solved with the team, peer pressure. the team talking to people, hey, you got to step it up. We got a problem here. Let's fix this. Let's get the trainer over here to help you out. I think it only goes to the manager when the team feels like they're at their wits' end and they're not getting something done. Generally, I like the managers to observe team meetings, to see how people are involved, and then talk to people about how can I help you be a bigger part of this solution. What are you lacking on? Do you understand the Pareto chart? I noticed when they did the fishbone diagram, I'm not sure you said anything. Do you understand what we're doing there? Can I walk you through this? Just it's kind of a coaching and a teaching. I think that's a big part of it. But it's also, what's going on in your life. Uh, do you have the support structure you need at home? Are you healthy? Are you happy? Are you emotionally well? It's some of that as well. I'm here for you. What do you need? What can the company do for you? And then the last thing that I think is really a big deal is we have a 5x5 matrix that has skills on one side and way of being on the other side. And so there's 25 boxes. The preferred capability is right in the middle at 100%. A pleasure to work with, knows how to do the job. And as you become more influential in the team, more impactful, more knowledgeable, easier to work with, you move into these luscious greens and blue colors. If you are harder to work with, if you don't know what you're doing, you move into the kind of these yellows and oranges and reds. And every team member knows exactly which box they're in at all times. And so there's complete clarity about how you were seen by your teammates and by your management and what you need to do about it. Nobody's allowed to live under 100%. If you dip down in some way, I either got to get you the training you want or this attitude thing. You're going to have to fix it because you can't stay here if you're under 100%. So that's also, I believe, part of the monthly coaching is just agreeing on where you are with your attitude, with your emotions, with your behaviors, with your skill sets.
Yeah, thank you.
That's powerful, Gary. That's a solid system that's very clear on what you're doing culturally around that.
Yeah.
Okay, then we probably have time for one more quick question. If anyone has a question that's going through your mind. Indy.
Hi, Gary. Lovely to meet you. I've seen Shingo videos of you in training, but nice to speak to you in person. Yeah, so I'm one of these practitioners that feel like I've gone the long way around. Started with the tools, started with projects, and then coming to this realization, maybe 10, 12 years later, then it really was all about the people and how could I have missed it?
Yeah.
And I think the Shingo model and the stuff the Shingo Institute puts out there it absolutely focuses on people. My reflection is that change is hard, especially overlaying multiple perspectives on what needs to be done or what the problem is. It's hard, and human beings in general tend to do the easy thing rather than the right thing.
Yep.
So in Ocitana, how has Ocitana made it easier for people to do the right thing?
Yeah, it's a great question, Indy. If I could go back and talk to younger Gary, I would say, I mean, I'm a likable guy, very likable, but I saw everybody as my nemesis, everybody as someone who I needed to change and make change. And I basically dragged the organization kicking and screaming into something new. And I'd love to try it again with a little more patience, teaching, showing, discussing. Um, I don't know that I was feared, but I was definitely an immovable object. But the unfortunate thing was I really didn't know what I was doing. So I was dragging people into things that weren't always the right thing to do. Um, I think that um, in hindsight, I value people much more than I did when I started. I believe in them. much more than I did when I started. I think what people need is conversation. They need to be persuaded. They need to be shown. They need time, and they'll come along. If I can get them to try something and play with it, I have some more fun with it and experiment. I think that would be a better way to do it than what I did.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, it's I can relate to your journey and what Indy mentioned also. It's a learning journey for all of us as change agents or leaders also, isn't it? It's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, having people around us like yourself, Gary, to share knowledge in your journey just helps us get there faster and evolve, mate. So, Gary, on behalf of the community and the podcast, people that will listen afterwards, I just really appreciate it, Gary. Thanks for helping us Aussies across the ditch and the other people around the world that listen. And congrats on all you've achieved too, mate, you and the team. Like, I guess you look back on that journey and wow. And we just know that this will inspire others to take that similar journey and help people have a great time at work and achieve great results for those to come.
yeah. Thank you all. Loved being with you.
Thanks, Gary. See you all. What an amazing episode. Gary, again, thank you for sharing such amazing knowledge and helping us, Aussies and others around the world listening to this podcast, really learn from a company that has led the tough journey and gone so far. Like you say, being able to share your knowledge helps others get there quicker, which is just such a humble and amazing thing that you and all at OC Tenor do. Remember, everyone, you can go to our website, enterpriseexcellencepodcast.com, under resources to get hold of a lot of great resources that will help you actually on your journey that relate to this show and others. There were two key takeaways for me from this episode. The first one was the fact that OC Tenor, through the leadership, owned the journey, led the journey, trained the journey, and also looked at all the systems of the organisation and constantly looked at how do we improve them. Now, systems thinking, for those that aren't across it heavily, is really that an organisation is like a large system, like your body is, made up of many smaller systems, just like your body is. You know, we've got the skeletal, and you got your blood system. I'm probably saying that wrong, but that's what an organisation is. So one of the key insights of the Shingo Institute is that systems drive behaviour, and Gary's approach to really consider ideal behaviours and what they are as an organisation, but then really as leaders look at the systems and what is driving that has been so powerful on their journey. And it's just so great to hear of how they went about it. The other big insight for me, and this is a common pattern I'm seeing in organisations that achieve operational or enterprise excellence and are really getting down the track, is this small autonomous frontline team that is strategically aligned. And this is what Gary was talking is small manufacturing units, you know, that are value stream aligned and cross-functional, and how he's got that structure in place and that belief and approach behaviorally as leaders to really empower them and create that autonomy and accountability that comes with it for them to lead their small manufacturing units forward and achieve great outcomes for themselves, for their customers, and for the organisation. When I look at great organisations, there is a common pattern there where they've been able to create that autonomy, ownership, accountability, capability build led from the front line in small teams and create that bottom-up excellence approach. I think a great man, Rob Telford, once said to me, and this is in a past episode, that the people doing the work are the ones who know best how to improve the work, how to make it safer, how to make it perform better. And when you create that small business unit at the front line and get that culture and that the systems to enable it, you know, you truly get great outcomes. People come to work inspired to come and do a great job in their business unit. They leave work happy and stoked about making a difference and being able to move themselves forward. And the environment that's created is just naturally one of continuous improvement, innovation, and high performance, particularly when you can connect those units really tightly to either internal or external customers to create that rapid feedback and learning from what they're doing that they can then use to get even better. So everyone, there's certainly some patterns playing out there. Leaders as trainers, leaders as coach, and small business units. Those are the two key insights for me from this episode. I hope you all gained the value that I did. and we'll keep bringing more information to help create a better future. Thanks again, Gary. Mate, thanks for all you have done and will continue to do. Bye for now.